Yes, we're heading for an anxious finale to the football season in all of the divisions, and none more so than in the FA Carling Premiership. It's not been a good day for Bradford in any sense in the Challenge Cup final, and also it would appear in the Carling Premiership as well, because Bradford are losing 2-1 at Everton at Goodison Park. I understand they've missed 2 penalties, and if it stays like that, they're still playing, Bradford will be relegated. They'll be playing in the First Division next season. I understand Steve Lee can bring us up to date with events at Goodison.
Yes, the blue half of Merseyside breathing a little easier tonight, but the Bantams of West Yorkshire are just 3 minutes from relegation now, injury time being played. But Jim Jeffries' side, who had to win here, led at half-time and missed 2 second-half penalties. They went ahead after only 2 minutes. Andy Myers' bullet header from Carboni's corner, and they were worth that lead at half-time. But Everton came out recharged after the break. Duncan Ferguson levelled things, latching onto Campbell's back header. Then after Carboni went down in the box, Robbie Blake's penalty was saved by Gerard. Alexanderson's left footer swept Everton into the lead, and there was still time for Carboni to fire another penalty over the bar. Everton with their noses in front. We're playing injury time. It's Everton 2, Bradford 1.
Yes, it's all very tense indeed, but that could secure Everton's safety if they hang on to that 2-1 lead at Goodison this afternoon. Doesn't look like there'll be much chance of a comeback for Middlesbrough, though. They are losing 2-0 at the Riverside, and I understand the full-time whistle has just gone. Steve Sutton is the man who can tell us about events there.
Yes, indeed. Football at a canter in the Teesside Sunshine for Man United. Casual, almost to the point of careless at times, but they did enough to collect the 3 points without really breaking sweat. 2 goals from United. The first, a superbly struck 30-yard drive from Philip Neville 3 minutes into the first half. The second from David Beckham near the end. For their part, Middlesbrough huffed and puffed and hustled. It very nearly paid off. Dean Windass was close twice in the first half. Hugo Ekiog hit a post with a glorious second-half drive. Ricard's goal from the rebound ruled offside. Then, as if to underline their Premiership superiority, midway through the second half, United brought on Giggs and Cole. 7 minutes from time, Beckham moved out of cruise control, sidestepped his defender on the edge of the area and fired past Mark Schwarzer. The wider picture of Europe may be problematical for the champions, but in the Premiership they reign supreme. For Middlesbrough, the relegation anxiety lingers on.
Yes, Steve, you talk about problems. Middlesbrough have them, but it's Coventry who really are in big trouble now, because they have been beaten this afternoon by Liverpool 2-0, and would you believe it, the architect of their downfall is Gary McAllister, who's sealed Liverpool's victory with an 86th-minute free kick. A real beauty. You'll be able to see it tonight on Match of the Day, after Sami Hyypiä had given the Reds the lead in the 83rd minute. Coventry had put up some stuffy resistance before then, but John Motson can tell us what happened thereafter.
Well, what happened is exactly as you said, Hazel. The game was level until the 83rd minute. Not many chances. The difference really was that Gerard Houllier brought on Michael Owen on 64 minutes in place of Robbie Fowler, and suddenly Owen began to stretch the Coventry defence in a way that neither backline had really been examined all afternoon. Then from a left-wing corner taken by McAllister of all people, Sami Hyypiä headed in at the near post. There wasn't a defender there to guard the post, it seemed to me. And 3 minutes later, well, now this was an irony, Gary McAllister from a free kick scores against his old club, his 4th goal in 4 games, by the way, perfectly executed, and it left Coventry with nowhere to go. Just how bad this is for Coventry they'll be assessing now when they hear the other results. But Liverpool are still staking their claim for 3rd place. It's Coventry City 0, Liverpool 2.
And from the sound of John's voice, it sounds like it's been a pretty exciting match there at Highfield Road. Now let's head to White Hart Lane, because Aston Villa really trying to get back into Europe. It looks like they've done their chances a little bit of harm today, though. 0-0. Ian Payne.
Well, a pretty uninspiring affair, to be honest. Lifted briefly by the appearance of David Ginola as a substitute with 10 minutes left. It was his first time back here since he was sold to Villa last summer. In fact, Aston Villa probably had the better of it at the end, with Neil Sullivan saving from Paul Merson when he was clear, and then Luke Young clearing Darius Vassell's shot off the line. For Spurs at the other end, Les Ferdinand could have done better with a short-range header. Overall, though, this was a disappointing match.
Well, by contrast, no disappointment at all at Main Road for Manchester City, because they are still hanging in there. They have just managed to fashion their first win at home in the Premiership this year, and it's come against West Ham. Steve Wilson.
Manchester City have earned themselves a stay of execution with a quite magnificent performance against West Ham. Sean Goater's goal deflected off Ian Pearce's right boot, gave them a half-time lead, but they withstood the most massive West Ham battering in the second half. Their goalkeeper, Carlo Nash, was quite superb, and in injury time at the end of 90 minutes, West Ham substitute striker, the Bulgarian Svetoslav Todorov, missed a glorious opportunity about a yard in front of an empty net. A most magnificent performance by Manchester City. West Ham still aren't safe, neither are City, but they are still in it. They've beaten West Ham by 1-0.
And that means that Manchester City are now level on points with Coventry, and they've moved to within 4 of Derby, because Derby have lost today at Pride Park 2-1 to Arsenal. Tony Gubba is there.
Derby County means that they are still... Yes, Derby can still be sucked into the relegation issue. Beaten 2-1 today by an Arsenal team who always looked a class above. They took the lead, Arsenal, through Kanu after 25 minutes. And they might have made it 2, but for a goal line clearance by Riggott. Derby equalised in the second half through Stefano Iranio, but then on 79 minutes on came Robert Pires of France as an Arsenal substitute, and immediately restored Arsenal's lead by 2-1. And it tells you much about the game that Derby's best player was their goalkeeper, Mark Poom. Others look nervous and unsure, and well they might be, because they've yet to play Manchester United and Ipswich, and you wonder where any more points are coming from for Derby this season.
Well, Sunderland were without a win for 5 games, but they've got one at last, and it's come at the Dell. Steve May can tell us about it.
And a goal out of the blue from the swivelling Kevin Kilban 11 minutes into the second half meant that Southampton have now not won in their 5 matches since Glenn Hoddle left here, and Saints haven't scored in the Premiership for 383 minutes. Tessem and Pahas had chances in the first half to change that, both stopped by Thomas Sorensen at close range, and Beattie's shot in the second half was cleared off the line by Carteron in the second half. He was very happy about that one. Even the half-time appearance of the 1976 FA Cup winning team on their 25th anniversary couldn't inspire Saints.
Let's head for St James's Park in Newcastle now, because 7 months Newcastle have not managed to keep a clean sheet, but they've done it today, and also they've got 3 points. Alan Biggs.
Yes, their first clean sheet, Hazel, in 30 matches, but it's mainly about the absolute agony that Leicester have felt at the final whistle, beaten by a stoppage time goal, which means a new all-time club record of 8 successive league defeats, all because Carl Court's hopeful shot late in the match took a cruel deflection, I think, off Junior Lewis, and the seemingly unstoppable Tim Flowers was finally beaten. Flowers have pulled off something like 5 tremendous saves here this afternoon. It was non-stop Newcastle pressure, only isolated threats from Leicester, but in the end their heroic resistance has been breached. Bobby Robson, by the way, the Newcastle manager, missed this, essentially a meaningless match, to do some prospective early summer shopping. He's on the continent watching an undisclosed target. Newcastle have beaten Leicester 1-0.
Thanks, Alan. Yes, it's very tense at the bottom of that FA Carling Premiership. So too in Scotland, at the bottom of the Premier Division. Let's head to Tannadice now, where Dundee United were playing Motherwell today, and Rob McLean has the details on that.
Full time at Tannadice, and Alex Smith's Dundee United take a step towards Scottish Premier League survival, but they might have to sweat a bit in the matches still to come, with St Mirren battling for their lives at the bottom as well. It was nervous at times, not just for the supporters, but for the Dundee United players as well. Not the best performance they've turned in this season, but all that matters in the end is that vital statistic, the scoreline, and Dundee United beat Motherwell by 1-0. The only goal of the game coming 10 minutes from half-time. Jamie Buchan's first goal of the season. It could be very valuable indeed, as Dundee United scrap for their lives. Dundee United 1, Motherwell 0.
And it's Dundee United who are scrapping with St Mirren, who also procured a win this afternoon. But let's get a full classified check up and down the country with Tim Gudgin.
OK, Hazel, starting with the FA Carling Premiership. Charlton Athletics match with Ipswich Town postponed, playing on Monday. The Fools panel say home win. Coventry City 0, Liverpool 2, Derby County 1, Arsenal 2, Everton 2, Bradford City 1, Leeds United 2, Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1, West Ham United 0, Middlesbrough 0, Manchester United 2. Newcastle United 1, Leicester City 0. Southampton 0, Sunderland 1. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Aston Villa 0. Nationwide Football League Division 1, Barnsley and Bolton Wanderers, that's an evening kick-off. Birmingham City 1, Grimsby Town 0. Blackburn Rovers against Portsmouth, postponed, playing tomorrow, Paul's penalty decision, home win. Crewe Alexandra 1, Preston North End 3. Crystal Palace 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Fulham 1, Wimbledon 1. Norwich City 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Nottingham Forest 0, Gillingham 1. Queen's Park Rangers 0, Stockport County 3. Sheffield United 2, Burnley 0. Watford 1, Tranmere Rovers 1. West Bromwich Albion 1, Huddersfield Town 1. League Division 2, Bournemouth 2, Northampton Town 0. Bristol City 3, Luton Town 1. Bury 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Cambridge United 1, Wigan Athletic 2. Colchester United 2, Reading 1. Oldham Athletic 1, Stoke City 2. Oxford United 3, Swansea City 1. Port Vale 2, Notts County 3. Rotherham 2, Brentford 1. Swindon Town 2, Peterborough United 1. Walsall 2, Bristol Rovers 1. And Wrexham and Millwall, it's a late one. League Division 3, Blackpool 3, Barnet 2. Brighton and Hove Albion 4, Macclesfield Town 1. Cardiff City 3, Shrewsbury Town 1. Halifax Town 1, Darlington 0. Hull City 3, Chesterfield 1. Kidderminster Harriers 0, Hartlepool United 1. Leyton Orient 0, Cheltenham Town 0. Lincoln City 2, Plymouth Argyle 1. Rochdale 1, Mansfield Town 0. Scunthorpe United 0, Exeter City 2. Southend United 1, Carlisle United 1. Torquay United 2, York City 2. The Nationwide Conference, Dagenham and Redbridge 1, Northwich Victoria 0. Forest Green 2, Southport 0. Hayes 1, Boston United 1. Hereford United 2, Morecambe 2. Lee RMI 2, Kingstonian 1. Nuneaton Borough 1, Kettering Town 1. Rushden and Diamonds 2, Dover Athletic 1. Scarborough 0, Hensford Town 0. Stevenage Borough 0, Doncaster Rovers 0. Telford United 1, Yeovil Town 2. Woking 1, Chester City 0. The Bank of Scotland Scottish Premier League, Dundee United 1, Motherwell 0. Dunfermline Athletic 1, St Mirren 2. St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 3. Bell Scottish Football League First Division, Ayr United 4, Alloa Athletic 1. Clyde 2, Ross County 0. Inverness Caledonian Thistle 2, Livingston 3. Morton 2, Falkirk 1. Wraith Rovers 5, Adrianians 0. Scottish Second Division, Arbroath 2, Berwick Rangers 0. Queen's Park 0, Forfar Athletic 2. Stenhousemuir 0, Clyde Bank 0. Stirling Albion 1, Queen of the South 1. Stranraer 3, Partick Thistle 4. And Scottish Third Division, Albion Rovers 0, Cowdenbeath 0. Brechin City 1, Dumbarton 0. East Stirlingshire 0, Montrose 1. Hamilton Academicals 3, Elgin City 0. And Peterhead 2, East Fife 1.
One late kick-off to tell you about, and it's an important one at the racecourse ground, because if Millwall can fashion a victory there, they will be promoted to Division 1, but I believe there was a pitch invasion after 2 minutes, and they're some 20 minutes behind schedule. 1-1 between Wrexham and Millwall at present. So the polls news as we have it on the coupons: 5 score draws, 2 no score draws, with 2 results to come. And let's just give you the numbers then of the score draws. Numbers 12, 17, 18, 21 and 45. And the no scoring draws, numbers 37 and 47. And some half-time information to give you. 6 half-time score draws and 17 half-time no-score draws. One result to come. It's at the Racecourse Ground. And more details for you on CFAX page 315, 312 even. Now let's get back to Highfield Road. Coventry beaten today by Liverpool 2-0. And we can talk now to Gerard Houllier.
Well, Gerard, a remarkable game for many reasons. Players score goals, managers make inspired substitutions. Owen changed the face of the game when he came on, didn't he?
He did. It was mainly a tactical reason for that, because at that period of the game they were pushing. The game was full of passion, as you can imagine, and they wanted to score a goal. And I knew that maybe in substituting Michael, in putting Michael in, and it doesn't mean that Robbie had a bad game, far from that, because I thought he worked very hard. But I thought that Michael would bring his pace and would probably, with his speed and his astute movement, would probably stir them a bit. And as you say, you know, he could have scored a hat-trick. He had 2 or 3 occasions, and but he really brought new chances for us.
Did you think at that stage you were on to win the game? That was the reason for making the substitution, to go and win it?
It was, as I said, you know, they were pushing at that time, so I thought that, I think we have some tremendous offensive assets, so why not use them? And I thought it was the right time maybe to push Michael in, and because it would be, you know, when we attack, it would be more breaks and counter-attacking football, and which happened. And I thought we should, you know, have been given a penalty, but to be fair to the referee, he was on the blind side, he didn't see it, and there was a bit of justice because we scored on the corner.
You're now in a marvellous position. You've got 2 cup finals coming up. Can you finish precisely where you want to be at Champions League place?
We forget about the cup finals for the moment. I would say we're in a sort of a race behind Leeds, of course, and Ipswich, and we've got to take every game as they come, and we need to win every game if we want to reach our target. The cup finals is, you know, bonus, something and the best way anyway to prepare for the final is to win games.
Excellent performance, well done.
Thank you.
So Liverpool's Champions League hope still very much alive, but at the bottom half of the Premiership, Bradford's 2-year tenure in the top flight's come to an end. Relegation confirmed this afternoon when they lost to Everton at Goodison. But Coventry and Manchester City still clinging on, although it looks bleak for Gordon Strachan's side after that late defeat by Liverpool that we've just heard about. Manchester City's win against West Ham means they're 4 points short of that coveted 17th spot. Derby still occupy that position after losing to Arsenal. Middlesbrough also lost to Manchester United. West Ham on 39 points. They lost to City, and City's, I'm sure, very happy boss Joe Royal now with Steve Wilson.
Joe, what an afternoon.
Do you think so? Yes, very strange thing happened here today, that Manchester City had a kiss from Lady Luck, and that allied to a fantastic goalkeeping display and 1 or 2 glaring misses. But having said that, we could have been out of sight. We were exceptional first half, played very well, and missed chances to go 2-0 ahead just after half-time, and that served to bring them on with a rush, and they had good chances near the end. I'm not going to deny it.
You did have a bit of luck, but it was a massive effort from your players as well.
Yeah, it was, and it's taken a while coming, believe me, because we've lost a lot of games here this year, unfortunately. So it's nice to win 1-0 when we've had a little bit of luck. Perhaps all our luck's coming in the last 3 games, you never know.
Well, you've set yourself a target for those last 3 games of 2 wins and a draw.
At least.
And at least. You're on target.
Well, we're on target. You know, we've just won 2 out of the last 3 and drawn a big game at Old Trafford, so you never know. I mean, the players are cock-a-hoop, but we'll have to defend a little bit better as a team than we did second half, but you never know.
And how did you feel at the end? Because there were some extraordinary saves from Carlo Nash, who you mentioned, and some incredible misses as well.
Yeah, there were 1 or 2. I mean, we had players playing out there with injuries, to be honest with you, and you know, Steve Howe's not quite right. He's playing with a broken toe. And other players, you know, Alfie Haaland wasn't fully fit from the start, but got through a lot of the game for us and did very well. And overall, in our position, you can only admire them. The pressure these lads have been under since Christmas, and to turn in a win like that and a performance like we did in the first half was outstanding.
Sometimes people say that the crowd can be like an extra man, but I mean, the crowd today was about 2 or 3 extra men. They were sensational, really.
I think they sucked 2 out. There were 2 going in, and the crowd sucked 2 out. And they've been brilliant. They've been brilliant all year.
And as you go into these final games, they both look tough, of course, Ipswich and Chelsea, but you're still in with a shout. Did you fear you might not be at this stage?
Well, there was a possibility. Had we lost today, we'd have been definitely out of it. And now, who knows? You know, I think we were 100 to 1 to stay up yesterday. We might come down to about 75s now after that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
You wouldn't bet against them, would you? A real fillip for City last week at Old Trafford with that draw in the derby. But at the top, it's champions Manchester United who stay 14 points clear. But the real issue there is the race for Europe. Arsenal left it late to beat Derby today, so they stay clear of Leeds, who beat Chelsea earlier, and Ipswich, who take on Charlton on Monday. Liverpool's Champions League aspirations, as we've said, still strong after that victory over Coventry with those 2 late goals. Sunderland beat Southampton to stay in touch with Chelsea, but Aston Villa drew and Europe now looks distant to them now. Could be the Intertoto, oh dear. Now let's just talk about that match earlier on. Leeds United's victory over Chelsea. That makes it 6 wins in a row for Leeds United, and we'll hear from David O'Leary and their goal scorers now in the company of Jonathan Wall.
David, your thoughts on the performance first of all?
Could play better, but we deserve to win, and at the end of the day, we've got players that when chances come, we can take them, and we did today.
It's not a bad player to bring on, is it, 9 minutes from time?
I hope I can bring more on like that. As I say, I felt that it was the right time to bring him on, and Robbie's got a terrible knack that he can score goals.
Chelsea made it ever so hard for us. We had a good few chances in the first half. Didn't put them away now, but it was a great win for us in the end there. I mean, it was long enough waiting, but it came just in the end, and as I said, it was a great 3 points for us today, and as I said, puts us into Europe, so which is absolutely brilliant.
The manager's talked about the fact that players haven't been playing with fear over recent months. Is that something you believe in as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this team isn't scared of anybody, and we've shown with our results in the Champions League, and I think that if we keep going the way that we are going, we could be a major force in England and also in Europe.
The fact that you've done so well in the Champions League a driving force to get into the top 3 because you've had such an adventure over the last few months?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we can't imagine life without the Champions League now. We've sort of gotten used to it, and we enjoy going and playing in these big clubs and countries and things like that. So we're going to be aiming for that 3rd spot.
Rio Ferdinand went down for about 2 minutes there. Yeah. What are your thoughts and what's the latest?
My worries is that the amount of injuries we have, that we're okay squad-wise at the moment, and our problem is going to be that we keep them all healthy. Hopefully we can, and if we do, hopefully we get a good run into the end of the season.
And Leeds, of course, looking forward to that European Champions League semi against Valencia on Wednesday. Manchester United won't be in those semis, of course, but they're imperious at home at present. Manchester United 2-0 winners over Middlesbrough today, and Sir Alex is talking now with Steve Sutton.
So Alex, at times it almost looked too easy. Is that unfair on Middlesbrough?
I think it is a bit unfair because we got off to a great start. I thought our early play was really good, determined, quick, and it caught Middlesbrough on the hop, really. It took them a long time to get going. And it's understandable in the position they're in, there was a bit of nervousness about their team. And we capitalised on that, I thought. And there were times where we got a bit, careless and got great scoring positions and squandered. But the second half, it became a real contest, I thought. And I thought Middlesbrough had their great moments and were a bit unlucky.
They did come close, didn't they? Hit the post. Dean Windass had a couple of good chances.
Yeah. Dean Windass getting the back post twice, and was just very unlucky. And at that time, it was just that period for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they were on top, and we had to weather it. But the second goal obviously killed the game, but I didn't think we would score at that point because it was really Middlesbrough having a real goal. But I was pleased with the performance. It was not easy to come against Middlesbrough here, and when they're really fighting for their lives, and it became a real contest in the second half, and I was pleased that the young players weathered that.
Phil Neville's goal, he probably doesn't even dream about them, does he?
No, he's never scored a goal like that, that's for sure. He scored a goal against Chelsea about 3 years ago. It was a different type of goal altogether.
Young Michael Stewart, Sir Alex, in the middle, Premiership debut. He didn't look out of place, did he?
No, he's a very good prospect, the boy, and what he needs is that type of experience, a real competitive game, and I thought he did really, really well for us.
Yes, Sir Alex, well pleased today, but let's focus on events in the other divisions now, into the nationwide first. And champions Fulham were held by Wimbledon, meaning they cannot now beat Sunderland's all-time record of 105 points. The second promotion place remains undecided. Blackburn play Portsmouth tomorrow, whilst Bolton kick off against Barnsley in less than an hour's time. Preston and Birmingham are both heading for the playoffs after wins over Crewe and Grimsby, respectively. They'll be joined by West Brom, whose draw with Huddersfield means they cannot be caught. So it's hard lines to Burnley fans tonight. And at the bottom, Tranmere and Queen's Park Rangers are already down, but who'll be joining them in Division 2 next season? Crystal Palace did themselves few favours, losing to Wolves. Just one win now in 14 games for them. Portsmouth remain on target for Palace, but they've got that extra game to play. Huddersfield drew and still need points to be safe, as do Grimsby, but Stockport can breathe a little easier. They are safe tonight. And so into Division 2. Rotherham and Millwall are both promoted to Division 1. Rotherham sealed their second successive promotion with a win against Brentford, and Millwall will go up also because Reading lost to Colchester. Walsall, Stoke and Wigan all won today, so it's as you were in the remaining playoff places. Bournemouth, who beat Northampton, are keeping up the pressure though. And at the bottom, one relegation place to be decided, and Bristol Rovers stay in it after losing at Walsall, but they do have games in hand. They now have Cambridge to aim at. They were beaten at home by Wigan. Swindon did themselves a huge favour by beating Peterborough this afternoon. And into Division 3, Brighton's win against Macclesfield means they are champions elect. Like the rest of the league, they're waiting for the Chesterfield issue to be resolved, and the panel will meet, I believe, on Tuesday. Chesterfield were beaten by Hull and dropped into second. Their punishment following the investigation will be announced later this week. Cardiff were already up, but the battle for fourth place and possibly promotion, depending on Chesterfield, will go to the final day. Hartlepool are in pole position, but could still be caught by Hull and Leyton Orient, and Blackpool occupy the final playoff place. Rochdale have them in their sights. Now, Barnet were the day's big losers. Defeat against Blackpool leaves them bottom on goal difference from Halifax, who beat Darlington. Halifax have 2 games in hand, remember. Torquay and Carlisle are still looking nervously over their shoulders after draws today, but there was a big win for Lincoln over Plymouth. Barnet play Torquay next week, and the losers look certain to go down into the conference, and it looks like the race for promotion is going to go right down to the wire. Rushden and Diamonds and Yeovil both won today. Yeovil have a game in hand, but Rushden have the goal difference in their favour. And north of the border, none of the top 6 were in action this afternoon, so attention switched to the relegation battle between St Mirren and Dundee United. And would you know it, both sides won. St Mirren beat Dunfermline to stay a point behind Dundee United, who saw off Motherwell. Aberdeen move above Dunfermline after victory at St Johnstone. Champions Celtic take on Rangers in the final Old Firm game of the season tomorrow, with Hibs also in action against Dundee. First Division, Livingston are champions. Congratulations to Mr Leishman there, and they're promoted to the Scottish Premier League. Their win at Inverness Caledonian Thistle today means they cannot be caught. My goodness, there'll be more poetry in the Premier Division after all this from Big Jim Leishman. Morton and Alloa are both relegated. Second Division champions Partick Thistle beat Stranraer to end a run of 3 games without a win, but it matters not a jot. What did matter was the result of Arbroath versus Berwick. It finished in Arbroath's favour, meaning they're promoted with Partick. At the bottom, Stirling go down despite a draw with Queen of the South. Forfar beat relegation rivals Queen's Park and could yet survive. It's still tight at the top coming into the final week. Cowdenbeath were held at Albion Rovers today. Brechin beat Dumbarton, and Hamilton also won against Elgin. Late result just coming in. There it is, Wrexham against Millwall. It ended in a draw, but it's good enough. As you can see, there's the top of Division 2. It means that Millwall are promoted along with Rotherham United. Congratulations to all the personnel involved there. Bottom of the Premier Division, let's just reassess the events there. And it seems that Everton are safe. They are definitely going to be playing Premiership football again next season, and I'm sure that Walter Smith is a relieved man because of that. He's with Steve Lee.
Walter, I guess the main emotion tonight is relief that you're safe.
Yes, I think that's the thing. After a game like that, you know, just glad to get it over with. Delighted to have got away from the relegation problems even at this stage of the season.
There were many dodgy moments for you. There were 2 penalties in the second half. They were leading at half-time. So what did you say at half-time to your players?
Well, I just felt that we had a lot of chances in the first half of the game. We had most of the territorial pressure. You know, Bradford have been playing in the manner that they have in the last few weeks, where, you know, they've been leaving players upfield and taking a chance simply because of the fact that I think they thought they were almost certain to be relegated. So kind of awkward in that sense. But we had a lot of territorial pressure, we had a lot of chances, and you know, found ourselves down at, well, found ourselves level at half-time, but we found ourselves down early in the game, which always leads to a fair bit of pressure.
2 second-half penalties. You must have thought at least one of them might have gone in.
Well, you certainly think that. As I said to you, over a period of the game, chances-wise, we had, you know, some really good chances. We had a few great saves from Bradford goalie, which, you know, made it a little bit frustrating for us. And then, you know, the 2 missed penalties. Well, I don't think it's often you'll see 2 missed in the game, but certainly, from our point of view, I'm happy that it did miss them.
There were some very tense moments for Everton fans. A great deal of relief and elation at the end. You can understand how everybody feels.
Well, of course you can understand it. We only have to look at the league. You know, there's quite a number of teams being in the same position as ourselves. We've been looking for a win for our last 3 games now, and we only managed it today. Some of the clubs that have been round about us have been exactly the same and have not managed it yet. So, you know, fortunately for us, it takes away the real edge to the end of the season, and we can relax a little.
Yes, a real contrast to last week when Everton were beaten 4-1 at Arsenal, and Arsenal again in the winning driving seat today after a victory over the unfortunate derby at Pride Park. Arsene Wenger can tell us about it. He's now with Tony Gubba.
Arsene, the winner was a bit late in coming, but in the end it was a fair result.
I feel